The Sand Creek Massacre, a tragedy on the plains. In the wide open plains of what is now Colorado, there is a place where the wind moves quietly across the grass and the land seems to hold memory. This is the site of the Sand Creek Massacre, one of the most tragic and controversial events in the history of the American West. To understand what happened here, we have to go back to the year 1864. At the time, tensions between settlers and Native American tribes were growing across the Colorado Territory. As more people moved west, land disputes, fear, and violence began to escalate. But not all Native groups were at war. Bands of Cheyenne and Arapaho had been seeking peace. Under the leadership of chiefs like Black Kettle, they had attempted to cooperate with U.S. authorities. They were told to camp near Sand Creek, where they would be under the protection of the U.S. Army. They raised an American flag above their camp as a sign of peace. Many believed they were safe, but that sense of safety would not last. The attack. On the morning of November 29, 1864, U.S. forces led by John Chivington approached the camp. Most of the men in the village were away hunting. What remained were families, women, children, and elders. At dawn, the soldiers attacked. Gunfire echoed across the plains as chaos broke out. People fled in every direction, trying to escape the violence. Some attempted to hide in the dry creek bed, others tried to signal peace, waving flags or calling out. It made no difference. The attack continued for hours. When it was over, a large number of Cheyenne and Arapaho had been killed, many of them non-combatants. What happened at Sand Creek was not a battle in the traditional sense. It was a massacre, aftermath, and outrage. News of the event spread quickly. At first, some reports described it as a victory, but as details emerged, through witnesses, survivors, and even soldiers who spoke out, the truth became harder to ignore. Accounts described the killing of women and children. They described acts that shocked even those accustomed to the violence of the frontier. Public outrage followed. Investigations were launched by the U.S. government. Testimony revealed that the attack had been carried out against a group that had been seeking peace. The reputation of Chivington was permanently damaged, and the event became a turning point, a deepening conflict. Rather than ending violence, the Sand Creek Massacre made it worse. For many Native communities, it confirmed fears that peace agreements could not be trusted. Anger spread across the plains. In the years that followed, conflict intensified between Native nations and U.S. forces in what would become known as the Indian Wars. The cycle of violence continued. Remembering Sand Creek. Today, the site is preserved as the Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site. It is a quiet place. There are no large buildings or dramatic monuments, just open land stretching under the sky. Visitors walk along simple paths, reading markers that tell the story of what happened here. It is not a place of spectacle. It is a place of reflection, a personal perspective. The story of Sand Creek is difficult, but it is important, because it reminds us that the history of the American West is not only about exploration, growth, and opportunity. It is also about conflict, misunderstanding, and loss. It shows how fear and anger can lead to decisions that cannot be undone. And it reminds us of the people whose lives were changed forever on that November morning in 1864. The legacy. The Sand Creek Massacre remains one of the most significant and painful events of the era. It shaped relationships between Native nations and the United States for generations. And it stands as a reminder of the importance of truth, memory, and acknowledgement in history. Because places like this are not just part of the past. They are lessons waiting to be understood.